Hello, everybody, and welcome to my latest Doctor Who review, where today I review Doctor Who The Crimson Horror, starring Matt Smith as the 11th Doctor. Series 7, Episode 11, and we're getting closer to the end of Matt Smith's third and final series with The Crimson Horror. And the plot of this story is as follows. In 1893, the Doctor's old friends Vastra, Jenny, and Strax find an optogram of the Doctor on a victim of the mysterious Crimson Horror. They head for Yorkshire, where Jenny infiltrates Mrs. Winifred Gillyflower's community of Sweetville to find out what has happened to him. Okay, so the Crimson Horror. Well, I gotta say, after a couple of disappointing stories in this era, I have to say I love the Crimson Horror. I think this story is just fantastic. It's just so much fun. I just think it's a ton of fun. I absolutely adore it. I think the performances are great, and it's even got some dramatic moments in it as well. I think, first of all, let's start with the villain, Diana Rigg, Dame Diana Rigg, rest in peace, who's sadly no longer with us, but wow, she gives a fantastic performance in this story. Her Yorkshire accent is also really good, and her character's just so despicable and just really evil, especially the way she treats her daughter and the way she's used her and the way she's experimenting on everybody, and her plan to, with the rocket, distribute the venom from Mr. Sweet across of Yorkshire. It's really kind of despicable, and I think she has great standoffs with Matt Smith as the Doctor, and I think she's probably one of the best villains in quite some time. But this story is also quite crucial for the Paternoster gang. Yeah, they take front and center for the first, nearly the first half of the story, almost the first 15 minutes. The Doctor and Clara do not appear until the first 15 minutes of the story, which is kind of interesting. Normally, I would say I don't like the fact that when there's a Doctor Light story, when the Doctor's not in the story that much, I find that to be less compelling. But on this occasion, I actually really enjoyed them. I enjoyed seeing them. I thought they were really good and they work well as a team. I mean, yes, Strax is a little repetitive with his comedy, but I still thought some of his moments were quite humorous, especially when he's told to go wait outside after he's getting too overzealous and overexcited about using grenades and and violence. I mean, the focus is mainly placed on Jenny and Vastra, and I think they do a good job, especially Jenny, who gets to kick some ass in the story as well, which is really cool. And Vastra as well, she's really good with her investigations, and it's kind of funny, there's that guy that she keeps seeing who's always fainting whenever he sees her, or whenever he sees them, I should say. Like I said, under normal circumstances, I would have probably said that as a flaw, the fact that they take over the story for the first act. But to be honest, I thought it was actually intriguing, and it was an intriguing build-up to the reveal of actually what happened to the Doctor and Clara, and I think it made for some really interesting viewing. Discover that the Doctor has kind of been poisoned, I guess. I'm not kind of sure, really. And Jenny manages to find him, and then she manages to put him in some containment unit and revive him. Not quite sure how the Doctor was revived, but still, yeah, that didn't really make a huge amount of sense. And there's a moment then when the Doctor is released, and then he kisses Jenny, and then she slaps him, and he's like, "You have no idea how good that feels." Not quite sure what he was talking about there, whether he was talking about the slap or the kiss, but oh well. And also, Clara doesn't get a huge amount to do in this story. I mean, Jenna Coleman and Matt Smith are really good in the story, particularly with Matt Smith hearing his Yorkshire accent. That's really fun. And same with Jenna Coleman, although she is from more... I don't know if she's from Midlands or if she's from up north, but she put on an accent as well, and I think their Yorkshire accents are quite amusing. They do a good job. I think the Paternoster Gang, this is definitely their sort of central story, I think. Next story they'll feature in probably will be Deep Breath, which is Capaldi's first story, so... It'd be an interesting kind of shift in dynamic from Smith to Capaldi. I just think the story's a ton of fun, and I think it moves along at a great pace. There's a lot going on. It's an intriguing mystery. I also like the flashback sequence about the Doctor and Clara, how they sort of got into the to meet Mrs. Gillyflower and how they got captured, and the style that they put this kind of old film style over their flashbacks, which I thought was really clever, and it was a nice way to kind of give the episode a sense of style. Production values are amazing. I love the sets for this story. The period setting of Victorian Yorkshire looks so good. It's brilliant to look at, and there are some funny lines. Like I said, there is some good comedy, and there's that great moment when Jenny meets the woman in the queue, and then she's trying to sneak her way in, and she's like, create a distraction, and she gives her some money, and then the woman goes, so she kind of falls over and gives Jenny the chance to kind of slip away. I also like the character of Ada, played by Rachel Sterling, who I actually believe is Diana Rigg's daughter in real life, I think. Yeah, she's really good as well, and they have some great moments. They have some of the most dramatic scenes in the story, especially towards the end when Ada discovers how her mum has been abusing her. And because Ada's actually blind and she's got loads of scars all over her face, so she can't see where she's going, but she still manages to, she actually tries to attack her mum as well. And then her mum tries to shoot her. So yeah, a bit of a dysfunctional relationship there, but they both acted so well. Those scenes were some of my favourites, especially towards the end. Like when Mrs. Gilliflower has the gun and she's trying to fire at the doctor, and then she's holding her daughter at gunpoint as well. Really, really dramatic stuff. Also, Murray Gold's soundtrack is awesome. There's a really epic piece of music. They do use it quite a lot, but it is really good, and I think it really gives the episode a nice sense of scope. I think the pace of it is really good. It kind of romps along, and I just have so much fun with it. I just think it's a great story. It's a ton of fun. Some good comedy, good action, you know, the story's not too complicated. I also like the bond that Ada has with the doctor when she calls him her little monster. You know, she manages to save his life when she realizes that his body rejected the process or whatever because he's a Time Lord and only works for humans. So she's kept him chained up and she's been feeding him and she's been looking after him. And I really like the bond they have, even when the doctor is brought back, and he, you know, he thanks her for what she's done, of course, and then forms an attachment to her, which is lovely. I must say, the only downside I would say with this story, some of the aspects of the plot are a little bit unexplained, like the process of that the humans undergo. You know, it wasn't quite explained. I imagine it's something to do with them being poisoned, but it's not made very clear. Like when the doctor is dropped into this container of red, well, liquid. I don't quite know what it is. And that will help process with Clara as well. Being, I don't know, what was she turned to, wax or something? I'm not entirely sure. It was unexplained a little. But other than that, this is a really great story. And obviously the ending leads into the next story, Nightmare in Silver, when somehow Clara has pictures of everywhere she's been on her laptop, and the kids that she's looking after, they find out that she's traveling in time, and they want a piece of it, and that will obviously lead into the next story. Bit weird as to how Clara actually has pictures. I didn't think that she was allowed to take pictures when she was traveling. We never saw her use her camera or her phone to take pictures, and the fact that the kids say, "Oh, I saw a picture of you in there at school," and like, "Is your boyfriend an alien?" and all of those questions. So we'll see more of them in the next story, Nightmare in Silver. As for the Crimson Horror, I absolutely love this story. I do have a couple of like nitpicks with it, but aside from that, it's excellent. So I'm going to give the Crimson Horror a 10 out of 10. I believe it is one of my favourite Matt Smith stories. It's not the best, but it is awesome. Some really dramatic performances, solid story. You know, could have been explained in a few areas, but I still think this is one that I would go back to. You know, if I were to choose a Matt Smith story to revisit, this would be one of them. So anyway, that's my review of the Crimson Horror. What do you think? Please comment down below, let me know, and stay tuned next time when I review Nightmare in Silver, which is the return of the Cybermen. Woohoo! God, it can't be as bad as closing time. So yeah, stay tuned for that. And it is also the penultimate story in Series 7. Series 7 is now drawing to a close very soon. So anyway, thank you very much all for watching this review. Please hit the like and subscribe button, and stay tuned next time when I review Nightmare in Silver. So until then, I'm Mr. TARDIS11. Thank you for watching. See ya. Bye for now.